Welcome to Here's What I Learned, a podcast that pulls back the curtain on running a coaching business. I'm Jackie Hayes, your host and certified online business manager. I partner with coaches ready to transition from one-on-one coaching to group coaching programs. In my work, I see the day-to-day struggles and celebrations, missteps and triumphs that routinely happen in a coaching business. On this podcast, my guest and I will shine a light on it all. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy. On today's show, I'm talking with Doreen Korba. Doreen is a life coach for female entrepreneurs, helping them take their business and life to the next level using advanced mindset and nervous system techniques. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today, Doreen. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching?
Yes, it's like my favorite thing to talk about. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. How did I get into it? I was born into it. Ever since I was a little girl, I have other talents. And I always told my parents that I would sit one-on-one with women. Like that is what I was born to do. I was born to help women. I have a beautiful singing voice, and my parents were always like, you could really take this all the way. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I have other talents, which is so fun because I just had this inner knowing. And I always knew that I would have a big business. And the way I knew these things was I always knew I would have a big business. I always knew I would help women, but I knew when anyone asked me what I wanted to be when I was a little girl, I would say a mommy, because that was one thing I couldn't control. But the other two I knew were for me. So I say I was born into it, and then I fell into marketing. And so I spent the first 15 years of my career after I went to college. I got a healthcare degree and got my master's in counseling psychology because I knew my end goal. But out of college, got my first job, and it was in marketing. And I spent the next 15 years in marketing as VP of marketing, running global marketing at the height of my career, and started to have children in that time, and just would walk around the halls of corporate America saying, just there has to be another way. Like there has to be another way. And I had my master's in counseling, but in that process of getting my master's, I loved the program so much, but it was very clear I didn't want to be a therapist. Didn't want to help people stay stuck and just tell their story and stay in that story. I wanted to help people move forward. And so I thought about going back to get my doctorate in positive psychology. And I was aware of life coaching. I was reading all of the books, and I just kind of knew one day I would take this path. And then at the height of my career, our second child passed away at birth. And my life is really before we lost Harper and after we lost Harper. There's a before and there's an after. And in those moments, as I was holding her, we were making the hardest decisions we've ever had to make as a family. I knew I needed to be in service in order to survive. And so I knew it was time to go all in on making this life the best life I could, not just for me, but because she couldn't. So for both of us. And so I did end up, because I was deep in my grief, going back to corporate and finishing out. Luckily, there was a downsize, and I was part of that downsize. And that was my time to walk away and go out on my own. And I did 4 years of marketing consulting, because I wanted to have more children and my energy needed to go there. And then once I had my fourth baby, 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, it's time. My husband's like, you are crazy. And I was like, well, no, I'm not. I needed my energy for this. And now I feel like I can give my energy to my future clients, to this business, to this calling of mine. And I talk a lot in my own podcast about having dual callings, having calling to be a mother and a calling to build something really big, a revolution for women. And so my coaching journey has been wild and amazing, and just the greatest gift.
When you were a kid and you were talking to your parents about, I'm gonna help women one-on-one, did that show up in ways as you were a child?
My whole life, every friend, anyone that was close to me was like, you always know exactly what to say. And ever since I was a child, I just had this way of helping people see things differently. And I didn't try. It really comes through me. It really is, the work comes through me. And it is a combination of all of the investments I've made in my mind and also allowing to be so completely present in the moment. It really is a God-given gift. And so when I finally told my best friends, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go all in. I'm really scared. I'm leaving marketing completely behind. I was the double breadwinner in our family. Starting from scratch was a huge thing. And they were like, well, of course, like, finally, we're finally so happy you're doing this. And so it just showed up in who I was and how I naturally navigated life. And also it was naturally what I was drawn to. Like at age 16, I was reading Wayne Dyer books. Like, this is just, I don't read like fiction books. I read like self-help books. I always have. It's just what I love.
I think it's interesting. Like a few years back, I thought, why don't I think about what it was that I really loved when I was a kid? And maybe I should bring some of those things back into my life. And when I was a kid, I dreamed of, helping animals, being with animals, caring for animals. And now I live, where I'm taking care of 70 chickens, 5 cats, and a dog. So it's not my, how I earn an income. It's definitely not how I earn an income. But it's one of the things that has brought me the most contentment, the most satisfaction in my life, because, it's as a kid, you know who you are before everybody piles all the expectations on you and you pile other ones on you.
That's it.
And I think if more people got in touch with
That's it.
What were your dreams when you were a kid besides being a mermaid? Because, that's a possibility though. So, yes.
Obviously a mermaid. Well, what's so fun is when I was getting my master's, I did, you have to do practicum. So you have to go and apply. And so I was working full-time and going to school full-time at night. So I ended up having to do this one day a week. I went back to my college and did my practicum in career counseling. And so I was taught how to help people tap into what they're meant to do, what their gifts are. And one of the things that we do is really track back to like, what brought you joy? What did you do? Like, I mean, you'll know this about me just from us knowing each other, is like, I played teacher. And I was in charge. And on the playground, I made the rules, right? Like, I mean, it is just so who I am. And that is so beautiful that you were able to kind of tap into that, because it doesn't always have to bring you income, right? As long as it brings you joy. When you're joyous, the income follows.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Tell me about those first few months of the transition from working in corporate and now, nope, this is the time. This is what I'm going to do. What was that like for you?
It was so exciting. The first few months were just, my brain raced 24/7 on how I was going to do this, how I was going to get my message out there. And if you track back to the very beginning of my journey, I have not stopped. I am consistent. I am showing up. I'm showing up in hard seasons. I'm showing up in happy seasons. I'm showing up in service. Like, I'm showing up to help. And so those first few months were me realizing, having my first few clients and then getting off the calls and feeling like I had 10 cups of coffee. Like, I just felt alive. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know this kind of excitement existed in work. I had no idea. And then I got so excited about the future of it. And so it was just very exciting and very scary. I would say it was more scary for my husband than it was for me, because I knew my path. I've always known my path. And we just announced yesterday, well, by the time you're recording this, it'll be a couple months, but since I've left corporate, I've made over $1 million with my own brain. And in the past 12 months, my husband and I have made $1 million with our own brains, pen, paper, and genius, right? Like we all have genius. I believe that. And so those first couple of months where I knew where I was going, and he was like, I really hope so, honey. Like so supportive, but like, I really hope so. Cause we were using our family savings to pay our bills instead of me bringing in income. So, it was a very exciting time. It was also a very exhausting time. I had a brand new baby, and, my two daughters are only 18 months apart. So they're very close in age, and it was just wild and amazing. And I did anything and everything to get my first few clients. I did discounts. I just knew I needed the experience. And so I was willing to I knew that they needed to pay something to pay attention. But then I was I need clients. And I didn't have a niche. None of that. I just was like, I just want to help people. And through that process is how I figured out who I love to help the most.
Oh, there's so many gems there that I have so many follow-up questions. Hopefully I'll remember them all. The first one is, I think your story illustrates that being in business for yourself, so many people fear the uncertainty of the income coming in, but you were downsized in corporate. So there is really no certainty with, being an employee of somebody else. You have far more certainty with being your own business owner because you're generating your own income and you know the work that you're putting in.
I feel like that alone we could spend hours on. I say that all the time. If you think you're safe because someone else is paying your bills, you're not. You're not in charge of those business decisions. You're not in those board meetings. You're not in charge of who's appointed as CEO. You're not CEO. Even CEOs can get out overnight, right? And so I always have felt safer knowing that I was in charge.
And you're in charge of creating your own culture, what you want a business to look like.
Yes.
What does that look like for you? Because I know that you do have a support team, or at least have in the past. How has that been for you, that journey of figuring out how to create a company culture as the CEO of your business?
So company culture, I love this question. It's so important to me. A company culture can make or break any business. And I really want to turn everything I learned in corporate upside down. My company culture looks like we do not have meetings unless we need to. Like I never have a meeting with my virtual assistant. I adore her. And we just Vox. And I said to her the other day, I'm like, do you want to have like a meeting? Do you need like more structure? She's like, no, I don't. This is great. And it's just so fabulous because we don't waste time. And so that's really big, is we're very cautious with our time. I'm also really big on rewarding my team. So, I mean, with VAs in the past, if we've hit certain milestones, I'll bonus them. And I don't need to, but I love to. Right. And so that's really important to me. It's like showing appreciation, but also showing appreciation with money. And words of affirmation. I'm really big on words of affirmation. That was really important to me as I was growing. And that is still very, very important, I think, for a healthy dynamic in a company culture. The other thing that I'm really big on is if you have a family, you don't need to hide them from me. I am not militant, and I was taught very militant. Like, I mean, I still, all these years in, have to unwind my learning around hiding the fact that I've got all these kids. You know, right before you and I got on here, I have a kid that is sick. And I had to say, you know, I might not be able to make this today. And we had to go back and forth. And it's like, that is the reality of the life of a working mother with small kids. It just is the reality. And I don't hide from it anymore. I don't feel guilt about it. I don't feel shame about it. I feel incredibly powerful when I'm able to say, I'm a mom and I'm a coach and a podcast guest and all of the things. And so I really welcome that with my team as well. Like I want them having a life. The other really big thing is like, I don't want them working really long hours. I mean, I want them like, I don't like it. don't, if I like send you something at night, don't get back to me unless it's something like urgent. Right. But, or on the weekends, like I really want my team to have a big, beautiful life. It's the same thing I want for my clients. It's the same thing I want for myself. So, I also, the last thing about company culture is I really lead by example. And so I don't expect something of someone else that I'm not willing to do myself. And that includes coach myself, do the inner work, grow, all of those things. And so company culture is so important. And just being able to meet my team where they are, is very, very empowering. So if I have someone on my team that can only work 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, fine. And I love them, fine. If we need to fill in gaps with someone else that wants to work, we always figure it out. I'm always looking for the best fit culturally. And that it goes against everything. I mean, I can teach pretty much anything. I can teach my team how to do anything. And it really is the personality fit that is so important.
How do you measure that when you are quote unquote interviewing somebody? How do you know, oh, this person's going to fit?
It's a gut feeling. It's the same way I interview my clients, my potential clients. So I have a discovery call. That discovery call is more for me than it is for them. Not more. I would say it's 50-50. Like they're figuring me out, but by the time they get on a call, they're a yes. By the way, please hear that. If someone is getting on a call with you, they're a yes. They want to be a yes. They're just scared, right? And for me, I want to be a yes too, or else I wouldn't have the call. But I'm listening for two things. I'm listening to, and this is true in an interview as well. I'm listening to make sure I can support them and their ultimate vision, their ultimate goal. Like I asked everyone that works with me, I'm always like, what's the long-term game here? Like, what's the big mission? And so I'm making sure that it's a fit long-term. And then also on just, it's a vibe. You can just feel it. Now in corporate, have I hired people that know how to fake it, really well? But, and I always say, you don't know how someone's going to perform until they're like 3 months into the job. But as far as just, are we going to get along? That's something I think we can figure out pretty much right away. But performance takes time because the excitement wears off and then you see, what's left.
And you have to get used to each other. You have to get used to how each other communicates. There's just so many things that go into bringing a support person onto the team that you can't make a judgment within the first 2 to 3 weeks, unless there's something glaring, obviously. But as far as performance, you both got to get used to each other and how each other works.
Absolutely.
And it's about 3 months when it really starts to click and work well.
Totally. And I saw that in every area of my life, not just in my own team now, but just in teams in general. It's like, it takes time, and 3 months is not a long time. But when you hire someone, it's an investment in your business. And so it's that time is like, you need to put in that time to help that person get up to speed. That's my responsibility as a leader, right? It's not anyone else's responsibility but mine. So
after the few months of adjusting, I think one of the things that you talked about was that you just were willing to take on anyone. You didn't know who it was you were going to ultimately serve.
Yeah.
I see a lot of new coaches who feel like they have to know their niche right now. Like, who am I going to serve? Am I going to be a weight loss coach? Am I going to be a business coach? What would you say to that idea?
Yeah. The only reason people want to know who exactly they want to serve is because they think knowing that will get them clients. That has nothing to do with getting clients. What gets clients is knowing you can help people and really knowing that you, and putting yourself out there and telling people what it is that you do and shouting it from the rooftops, telling everyone who will listen. in the beginning, right? But the idea that you need to know exactly, or you need this in your marketing. I mean, I've come from marketing, right? So it's like the idea that your marketing needs to be X, Y, Z in order to get clients is not true. And whenever we're looking, see anything outside of us, whenever we're looking for outside circumstances to determine what it is like, to determine our own success, that is what we're taught. That's patriarchy teaching, right? So we're taught to look outside of us. Well, if I just knew my niche, if I just hired this person, if I just hired that person, and listen, I've hired a lot of people to help me. So I'm not against hiring, and I'm a coach, right? Of course I want to be hired, but the idea is the best of the best will teach you how to look inside. So niche is one, website is another. Oh, I have to get my website just right before I do XYZ, or, oh, I need to get my social right. No, what you need is to work on inside. How much do you believe in what you're doing? And if you're not 100%, that's where the work needs to go. Because the more you believe, everything that comes out of your mouth will be attractive to the right person.
Talk a little bit about your evolution as a coach from those beginning days until now.
Yeah. So the beginning days, they were so fun, and now is like beyond my wildest dreams. I started at, $75 an hour, no packages, no nothing. I only knew the therapy model, right? Which is like, well, if I do a good job, they'll come back. Which worked to a point. And then I realized, oh, but I need to be in charge here. Like I need to know, it's my job as a leader, as a coach, to tell the client what length of time it's actually going to take to get the desired result. So by doing one-off coaching, I was leaving that in their hands, right? And this is where therapy goes way wrong. It's leaving that in their hands, and they don't know. That's why they hired me. So what I did was I went from hourly coaching to 3-month packages. And then I realized, okay, 3 months isn't quite long enough. All of my clients were continuing on. So then I went to 6-month packages, and we could get the desired result in 6 months for sure. And that doesn't mean the result comes at the end of 6 months. It means we've completed everything at the end of 6 months. But then I found where I am now is what I love the most is, okay, we've done all the things you think you need to do after 6 months. And now we're going to get busy with the real work, which is like the inner work, which is like we have so much trust. We've created such a strong relationship, and we're looking under the covers at childhood patterns, at the way you were raised, and trauma, if there is any. And this is where I get to use my master's in psychology with the trauma training I have received for the past year, just really in-depth nervous system training, mindset training, all of the things. And this is where the lasting change happens. And so I have packages that are year-long now, for women that already have their business strategy, and they're just now, because you can get to about 200K without doing this deeper dive, because you can surface your way along. You can use your business tools, but when you get to 200K, you have to start getting more vulnerable in order for your marketing to stick. And in order to get more vulnerable, you have to be able to look under the covers at your own life. You have to do that work first before you can share it with anyone else. And that's where my genius is. So I went from, single sessions to now year-long packages. I have done groups, and I've done 2 different kinds of groups, but at this stage in my life, the deep connection and really helping women with this deeper inner work is just what I love the most. So that's what
I know that's been a fairly recent decision, and you had a podcast episode about, stepping away from your business. What was that process like for you?
So I was following a plan that I had set for myself inside of a container that I had paid for with a coach who's making lots and lots of money, 10, 20 million. I don't even know what she's at right now. And I had paid lots of money to be inside this container. And inside this container, I was taught to make a 3-year plan and to execute the 3-year plan. with the limited knowledge I had at the time, my 3-year plan looked like going from one-on-one coaching to going into mastermind, growing a mastermind to the point where it was kind of, I call it a self-cleaning oven, where I was just getting clients and it's no problem. And then eventually opening a program. And this looked very much so like her business. And she didn't impose it. She's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, this is what you've done, so I guess this is what I should do. And so in that process, the group I had, the mastermind I had, they had incredible results. They loved each other dearly. And I wanted them to meet each other. I love community. But at this stage in my life, I was really missing the deeper interaction with my clients. And so I had let go of all my one-on-one and was only doing mastermind. And I was really missing that. And I felt not aligned, and I had to really step away. And I went to sell the mastermind, and it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to. It wasn't attracting the kind of women that wanted to do the deeper work. They just wanted the business strategy. They wanted to skim the surface. And I understand, this deeper work is, it's hard, and it can be scary. I mean, I've done it myself. It's also the portal to like the greatest life beyond your wildest imagination. And so the clients I really want to work with are ones that want to do and are looking and seeking to do this level of deeper work using their business as like their greatest spiritual teacher. And so I really had to pull away and say, well, what have I been marketing? What have I been selling that's attracting? Where have I been that's attracting nothing? There's nothing wrong with the people. Like there's nothing to fix here, but I'm not attracting the women that light me up the most. And inside my mastermind, I was, but the new women that wanted to continue. So I had to step away, and it was months of me trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And it was months of like a lot of coaching I got for myself. A lot of tears, but this is my, I've always seen this for myself. This is what I said I was going to do. I'm a woman of my word. I made this plan. I execute this plan, like all that corporate training, all that patriarchal programming that I couldn't even see I was in. And then I realized I know what I want to do. I was just scared. I was terrified that I grew this big business that is generating double what I ever made as a global VP of marketing. And here I am wanting to not blow it up, but go in a very different direction. I was no longer going to be teaching business strategy. It was only going to be offering this inner work. And would anyone want to do this inner work? Do I need to lure them in with business strategy and then show them what they need? Like, I don't want to do a bait and switch. I want people to be educated by my marketing and then be ready for the work. And so finally, after I just had to finally get so uncomfortable inside my own self that I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I was at a mastermind with my coach, and we were live, which was really important for this moment. But my mastermind peers had been with me behind the scenes this whole time. And finally I was like, I just have to do this. This is my life's work. If that means that no one buys it, it's fine. But this is my zone of genius. And I want to take this piece all the way to the top. This is what I want to write books about. This is what I want to stand on stage for. This is what I want to talk about. And then that was it. It came out. And then literally I made a post the next day that I was blown away by the response. And then it all started happening. So I went from making no sales because I was selling mastermind. So I wasn't expecting to make sales, but I was behind on making sales. I was like 4 months behind because I thought I would be selling it and people would move forward, and they didn't, which was really interesting. And then it's like the quantum leap since then has been so incredible. I have started to refill my one-on-one practice for, year-long women. All the quantum leaps in all of the areas of my life have started to come together once I got in alignment with myself. And I'm really lucky. My parents always said, if you want if you really want to blow the lid off this life, follow your genius and do what you love the most. And so I really had to be honest with myself, which like, just because I spent 15 years in business doesn't mean I have to teach business. And again, that's programming. It's like, oh, well, you should teach everyone everything you know, right? And it's like, no, you don't have to. You really don't. So long-winded answer.
I don't have to teach everyone I know everything I know, because not everybody cares about everything that I know, for one thing.
True. True.
One of the things that you mentioned there, I was laughing because I just pulled up my goals for 2022 that I, drafted back at the end of December. And I'm like, they're not even relevant anymore. And we're only in, the end of April.
Yes.
So it's okay that I just was like, no, because, I've been having these successes happen, but they've been teaching me where I need to go next.
That's
and
it.
I'm finding more success following those breadcrumbs than trying to stick to that plan.
Yes. Yes. And I come from, you give me a plan, I will execute it.
I mean, that's my whole business, is to create plans for people.
Right. Yes. And so it's like, let's do this. I've got a plan, And so absolutely the plan in life is actually just to stay present and listen to your own freaking self. That's it. That's the plan. That's my plan.
I tend now to be like, no, we're just going to do quarter plans, because I don't know what's going to happen in the 3 months that is going to completely change the trajectory of things. Yeah. So let's plan this quarter, focus on this quarter. I'll deal with next quarter when it gets here.
I love that. I love that.
Can you talk a little bit about quantum leaps, and especially what it's like to experience those, and maybe the shadow side of them, as well as the not shadow side of things?
Yes. Let's talk quantum leaps. Ooh, I love to talk quantum leaps. So I'm in the middle of a quantum leap right now. And this side of it feels amazing. It feels like everything's happening. Everything's wonderful. This is so easy. Everything's just coming to me. I feel powerful. I feel confident. I feel completely in love with life and with business. But 5 months up to this, I wouldn't say that's the shadow side. I guess that is actually a great way to say it. It's what's required for the quantum leap. It's that inner work that I love to do so much with women. It's the feeling really uncertain, not aligned. Things aren't going the way you want them to. So how are you going to love yourself through that? That is that inner work that I'm talking about. That's the work I love to do. That the only thing I'm radical about is self-love. That is it. Some people are radical about self-responsibility. People are radical about all kinds of things. I care for none of that. I'm just radical about how are you going to love yourself when things aren't going the way you want them to? How are you going to nurture yourself? What are you going to do for you? What are you going to do for your business? And I'm not talking manicure, pedicures. I'm talking, who are you going to align yourself with to help you? Do you have the right support team? How are you nurturing your nervous system? How are you feeding your mind? Are you letting yourself feel your emotions? Are you allowing yourself to cry, feel angry, feel scared, feel shame, all the things that come up? Do you know how to process an emotion? Thinking about being sad is very different than actually feeling sad in your body. Okay. So thinking about being angry, oh, I'm really angry. Most people are like, oh, I'm really angry. I better go fix that, instead of just being with it. And so that's all what quantum leaping really is. And it's there's two sides to the coin. There's all this work to do to get yourself back in a good space and what that looks like. And then there's the flip side of coming out of the season. I always say the rainbow always comes. And on the flip side is it feels like everything just clicked. It feels like you've just like you have glasses that were foggy and now they're clear and you're like, oh, let's freaking go. But before the quantum leap this has been my experience. Maybe other people will say something different. But my experience has always been the deeper the darkness, the bigger the quantum leap. So if you let yourself go there, it's all uphill when things do change, and they always do. So if you're in a darker season or a season where you feel like nothing is going your way, it just means your quantum leap is coming. And I tell my peers and my clients this all of the time. Every business has ups and downs. Every life has ups and downs. That is just, that's nature. That's why we have seasons. Even thinking about pushing a baby out, there's contractions, right? There's pain before the miraculousness of it. And so that's just the way life goes. And so how do you handle that is how big the quantum leap will be. That's the tug and pull.
When people feel stuck and they're not necessarily feeling like they're moving forward.
Yeah.
It's more that they're holding themselves back or they're resisting whatever it is that needs to be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
You said that your business can be your greatest, one of your greatest spiritual teachers. How so?
Your business always, always, always shows you where your growth edges are. So what that means is if you find yourself uncomfortable talking about certain things that are important to talk about, that's a growth edge. Why are you uncomfortable? What do you need to unlearn? What do you need? What work needs to get done inside of you so that you can share your story? And so that's just one example, but maybe it could be like money mindset. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's lack of confidence. Maybe it's lack of belief. Maybe it's the way you were raised. Like whatever it is, your business will always tell you, because it will stop growing. You will get stuck. And then if you don't dig deep into why, it will just stay there. And that's why I say it's our greatest spiritual teacher. We can't outrun it. Your business is only going to grow as much as you do. And so if you stop growing, so does your business. And that's why I believe in coaching so much. When we're in a paradigm, as the recipient, as the person being coached, we cannot see it. There's a lot of things we can see, but I call myself a professional brain tracker. Having someone track your thoughts and being like, you think this is fact, but it's not. There's another way. And having someone point that out to you. In this past year alone, with the coaching that I've invested in with my trauma coach and then with other coaches, it's like they've pointed out things that I honestly, especially with my trauma coach, I honestly did not know that I was in. I had no idea. But it takes a very skilled and someone you can trust very much, a very skilled practitioner to say, that must have been really hard for you. And you're like, oh God, I just thought this was normal. Right. And so your business will always bring those things up. And so when you get stuck or when you slow down or when you feel out of alignment, that's always the time to go inward.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you would like to talk about?
No, there's really not. Just that I'm always grateful for the opportunity to talk about this work. And I believe in coaching so much. I have multiple coaches. I will always have multiple coaches. My husband's asking me when I'm going to stop investing in coaching. I tell him never. I am such a recipient of the gifts of coaching. And that's what makes me such a fabulous coach. The way that I've invested in myself and done my own inner work is the reason that I can help others do it so deeply. So thanks for letting me talk about what I love so much. It brings me so much joy.
It was a wonderful conversation. Where can the listeners find you?
So I am very obsessed with my podcast, Millionaire Mamas in the Making. I love to serve there. I give so much away there, and it's all my own unique perspective on things. So definitely listen to Millionaire Mamas in the Making wherever you listen to podcasts. And then on Instagram, I'm at Coach Korba, and on Facebook, I'm Doreen Korba, and my website is coachkorba.com.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Here's What I Learned. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. You can find the show notes at jackiehayes.online/podcast. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to my email list to get access to my free resource library. Until next time, thanks for joining me.